Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Apple Crider on the line, and he's co-founder over at PodBlade and also host over at the Young Smart Money podcast. Apple, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Adam. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Man, I love bringing on other podcasters who are doing great things. First off, I love your company, PodBlade. Let's just start off there. Let's get into PodBlade. So how are you helping your clients there?
Sweet. Yeah, great question. I'm stoked to dive into it. So basically, me and a business partner of mine, we saw a need in the market. We're both podcasters ourselves. I've been doing Young Smart Money for a little over 2 years. He's been running his podcast for a little over a year. So a while back, we saw there was a need in the market for podcasters like us who were at the time kind of just doing it as a side hustle, a little fun project, but didn't want to be spending all of our time with all the other supplemental tasks that go into a podcast, editing, marketing, and all that good stuff that has to happen with the podcast, but isn't probably the reason why you started your podcast. I know I started my podcast to talk to cool people, and so did he, and we found ourselves doing a little bit of that and a lot of other stuff. So I personally had outsourced my show about 6 months after starting, and I helped him outsource his as well, and we sort of came to this. So I had my show edited for about 6 months, and I showed him how to get his show outsourced as well. So we decided that we should start selling this to more people and sort of see if this is something that was going to stick, because we found a way to do it in a very cost-effective way. We were finding very cheap talent that we could leverage to edit our shows effectively. So we sort of threw up a website, and we just kind of started telling a couple people about it. And long story short, it kind of spread like wildfire. I mean, people were really on board for this at such a low price point, because at the time and still today, the average price point to get a podcast professionally edited is about $80 to $100 an episode. And for people like myself and for my co-founder who weren't looking to invest 4 figures a month into our shows, who weren't making that kind of money from our podcast, we thought offering this at a lower price point would be really effective. So the number we had in our minds was $20 per episode, so we needed to make $20 per episode work, and we were able to do that. So now we start at $20 per episode, including audio, video, and an audiogram for each episode. So we're doing like 3 times what other guys are doing at like a quarter of the cost. So for a lot of our clients, it's kind of just a no-brainer. So for the side hustle podcasters out there who are just being like chronically underserved, we decided to come in and give them what they were looking for.
Man, that's so exciting, and that's amazing that you're able to do that. When I think about the fact that you're doing video, you're doing an audiogram, and they're getting it edited, all of that only for $20 an episode, that's unbelievable. And when I think about, I wish I met you when I first started. I'll tell you that, because this started as a for fun thing, and I had to learn a lot of it before I started bringing on staff and other things and getting things outsourced. And man, that took me freaking 1.5 years, 2 years to figure all that stuff out. When I would have had you at $20 an episode, I'm mad. You cost me time. That's awesome.
Well, hopefully we can save some other people that time.
Man, that's exciting. Let's get into your show. So Young Smart Money. So first off, you said going on 2 years or over 2 years now of episodes. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you, man. We're about 300 episodes deep, and we've been at it for about 2 years. So it's been a wild ride already.
So in terms of podcasting, I mean, you're being 2 years in, that makes you an old man, just so you know, regardless of age. That means you're old school 2 years in. That being said, where do you see this, and the fact that you're working in the space in terms of having clients and offering a service in that space, where do you see podcasting going? Like, what does the future of podcasting look like to you?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it seems like a lot of people are saying, like, oh, podcasting is getting crowded. And I mean, sure, as more people come out of the scene, there's more competition, but that just leaves more room for the good ones to kind of rise to the top, because at this point in time, I think it's only a little over 50% of Americans have ever even listened to a podcast. So there's still plenty of room for podcasts to grow in the future. There's still about 1 podcast every 2,000 YouTube channels. Just to give you guys some context as to the sort of landscape of YouTube versus podcasting. So in my view, there's still plenty of space for podcasters to create an effective show as long as they have some kind of unique selling point that makes them stand out from everyone else. Because if you try to be Gary Vee 2.0, you're probably not going to have much success with that because he's already been doing it for decades, and he's built up quite the following. But if you try to be you 1.0 and you really lean into the things that make you you and the things that you're bringing to the table, that's where I've seen our clients and just shows that we've worked with have had the most success in really embracing the things that make them different and really leaning into those and using them as unique selling points.
And I love that, and I love the thought process, and I always laugh when people say it's getting crowded, and I'm always like, another thing that doesn't make sense is you definitely don't need a website because there's too many of those out there. That's good. That's a pretty crowded too, huh? Who needs a website? You know how many of those there are out there? Are you kidding me? Why would you put up another website? There's plenty of those already out there. It's ridiculous. There's no way, no how. And the thing is the audience is the important thing. So I don't care if you, and I'm a huge advocate just for the industry in general. Obviously, I want people to listen to my show, but I want people to start their own podcast. That's one of my passions. I'm like, there's no better way that I've found to have a relationship one-to-many. So if you're a business owner out there, an entrepreneur, an executive, and you want to reach an audience of just your client base, you have an email list of 100 people that have done business with you, you need to create a podcast. You need to tailor it towards something that those 100 people would care about, and you need to send them that episode. Why? Because that is you having a conversation with 100 people. That wouldn't add, when the important thing about that is that they can listen to that conversation whenever they want to on their time. They don't have to worry about your webinar or this or that. They don't have to worry about technical things or turning on a TV or a laptop or anything else. They just put it in their normal Apple Podcasts or whatever platform they're listening to anyway. They're like, oh, XYZ, yeah, don't we do business with him? Let's see what he has to do. He's got a podcast out there, and they feel that connection to you, and they feel that, and they're more likely to do business with you again. And it doesn't mean you have to sell them anything. It's just literally providing them value and content. If you have a marketing company and you don't have a podcast out there, it'd be kind of rough for me to think about why somebody would want to, do business with you if they don't know what leadership or what some of the things are that you're putting out there in terms of value. I mean, maybe not today, but let's just say in a couple of years, I think it's going to be a standard, just like a website. Like, why would you want a website? I don't want a website. We've got plenty of those out there. I'm not going to launch one of those things. How much competition there is for traffic on the web, on the internet? So, Apple, content on your show. I want people to go listen to this. So, Young Smart Money. What kind of content can they expect when they go check you out?
Yeah, it's a great question, Adam. And it's kind of a funny time to ask that because we're going through a pretty significant pivot right now. So, by the time this episode goes live, the show is probably going to be fully pivoted, and we're probably going to be fully rolling out sort of kind of chapter 2 of the show. So what that's going to look like is it's going to be exclusively personal finance strategies for young entrepreneurs. So effectively utilizing credit cards and free travel, how to take advantage of the tax code to save yourself some money come tax day, how to just legally maximize profit margins, all that good stuff, talking with tax professionals, financial planners for entrepreneurs, all that good stuff. So that's what you can find over on the show. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to make more money, we give actionable strategies twice a week. So that's what we're doing.
Man, that's exciting. And so if somebody does want to follow up because they want to talk about getting their show edited that they already have, because you're doing it, by the way, they may already have other editing services, but you've already undercut them. So I mean, even if you have a podcast out there and you're established at 20 an episode, you're paying more than that. So let's see. So how do people follow up with you about PodBlade, and how do people listen to the podcast?
Yeah, great question. So in terms of PodBlade, you can head over to PodBlade.com, kind of get the rundown and figure out if it's right for you. If it is, shoot me a message on any social media platform. If you search Apple Crider, Crider is C-R-I-D-E-R, really anywhere. Instagram's good, LinkedIn's good, Facebook's fine. But just shoot me a message on any of those platforms, and I will get back to you and get you all set up. In terms of Young Smart Money, you can just go to YoungSmartMoney.com. Keep it pretty simple. You can listen there, or there'll be links to all the platforms we're on as well, or just search for it on wherever you listen to podcasts, and you will be sure to find us.
That's awesome. Well, hey, Apple, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great work you're doing over at PodBlade to further the podcast industry. Love it, and also congrats on the pivot and continuing the hustle on young, smart money. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, share this with your friends, your family, your coworkers. I mean, do all those great things we do to support our podcasters. I really do appreciate it. And Apple, thanks again for coming on.
Adam, it was a total pleasure. Thanks for having me.